Hello. This is Elizabeth Claire Brewington with,
Elton Brewington.
and in our studio we have with us Jerry. And Jerry has written an amazing book called Business Blather.
Blather.
Blather. And before I can tell you about it, I'm going to ask him to introduce himself and tell us about this book and what inspired you to write it.
Okay, my name is Jerry McTigue, and I've written this book called Business Blather, Stop Using Words That Sound Good But Say Nothing. And I wrote it because I've made a career out of writing advertising, promotion, press releases, all sorts of business communication. And I wanted to impart, especially today when attention spans are so short and people don't have time to read a lot of stuff. So I wanted to write a book that would help people to write clearly, concisely, and engagingly to bring the reader in, but to do it with a minimum of words. And so what I've done in this book, Business Blather, I've given a lot of examples of the type of things you should not write. And then for each one, I give an example of how it could be expressed in a better way. So I'm hoping that people will really listen to what they're saying and not to lose their audience. People are losing tremendous opportunities every day by not communicating clearly. And it's almost like it's a corporate culture that you have to use jargon, you have to use acronyms, you have to use pretentious language, you have to have lead ups and build ups to what you're saying for the big reveal. But it's by the time you get to the big reveal, they're gone. The average visitor to a website lasts 15 seconds. So if you don't capture them in 15 seconds, they're gone, they're history.
That's true.
So,
So your options are the simpler, the cleaner, the more precise, without glamorous and all of that. You hit it home.
I hope so, because people aren't today. People just don't have the time for anything more, and so you got to be quick. You got to get in and you got to get out, and make your message and make your point. Yeah.
Yeah, we live in such a world though that media is competing with other media, and it's what they say. News is when the dog bites the man, it's nothing, but when the man bites the dog, it's news.
Yes.
And so you got to sell that, and because you're competing with all this media, and that might be the reason why you've got this overdrive on the glamour blather, we'll call it. The glamour blather.
Yeah, and people try to embellish everything. They've got to make it flowery, or they've got to make it stretch it out. They stretch out their words, and they put unnecessary words in there that really don't add to the meaning of what you're saying. So I try to just guide people to write better, and they're going to make more money. Businesses are going to make more money when they communicate with their audience. It's simple as that.
But the challenge, Jerry, is that people don't listen.
I know.
People don't listen. Yeah.
Well, can I give you an example of business blather? Okay.
Sure.
So
Yes.
a company might say, we recontextualized our product iterations to address postnatal parental needs, when they could just as easily have said, we're launching a new line of baby products. You see what I'm saying? Here's another one from an insurance company. With our collective interdepartmental functionality, we possess the bandwidth to offer businesses the insurance modalities and feature sets you seek. Well, what are you supposed to, derive from that? So they could just as easily have said, we're fully equipped to offer an array of commercial insurance products like group life, medical, workers' comp, business interruption, and more. So the lesson is, cite the specific examples rather than vague characterizations of them. people want concrete, something to visualize. And that's one of the main lessons in the book is if they can't see it, they're not going to get it. You have to create a picture in their mind. And once you do that, they can relate to it and understand what you're saying. But if you use abstract terms, conceptual things, it kind of just like floats right by, and it's not understood.
You think that has any? Think that has anything to do with, the Western mind versus the Eastern mind in that way? Because I mean, we live in an international culture, people from all over the world.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I didn't get that deeply into the philosophy of it, but you make a good point. I think people today, everything's, or a lot in a lot of places, everything is Western. Everything is, make a quick buck. Talk, texting and quick communications and all that. And so there's not a lot of thought given to things. And I've always said, and this goes way back to the 1600s, when there was a mathematician named Blaise Pascal who said, I would have made this letter shorter, but I didn't have the time. Meaning, when you take the time to edit something and think about it and communicate it clearly and concisely, it's going to take you more time. Granted, it would, but people are going to understand it a lot better. So
that's so true. Yeah.
Well, it does take a little more time to think through exactly what you want to say, concisely, simply, and with clarity, to the point. But but who's got that kind of time? It sounds like it's better to put all these words in less time and hope you hit the mark.
But I think that you have to make the time, because I think that I've learned lessons that, yes, you can get away with it, sometimes. And I know I'm not one of the best writers in the world, but there is that one time that, it has become a big thing, and, it could cost you your job, it could cost you your reputation, that one time that you didn't write perfectly. And I think that for us in the communications world, writing is essential. I mean, even if you're tweeting, 2 lines, there is that standard that is expected of you. And I think reading this book is going to make you laugh. It's going to make you smile, and it's going to really make you motivated to write better. Because this is like a wordsmith, I don't know what to call it, a Pandora box with every single word that you'd want to use in it. And so, so that's my take on it.
No, it's very true. So I can give you more examples of what people do and what they shouldn't do when they write.
Yeah.
And why. And one of the points I want to make is, if Elton had said about, people don't want to take the time, but if you're sending a press release out that's going to, be exposed to millions of people, isn't it better for you to take an extra 15, 20 minutes or an hour to make sure that those millions of people who see this press release are going to understand it, rather than lose that entire audience, and rather than waste their time with words that they're trying to decipher? So this is why taking the time really pays off. So part of what people do when they communicate today is they use platitudes. These are unsupported platitudes. Everybody does this. They all make these statements, and they make them because everybody else is making them. So they figure out, that sounds good. But as the book says, while it sounds good, it says nothing. And I'll give you a couple examples. People will say, our customer service is second to none. Which sounds good, but if everybody's saying it, and everybody knows today customer service is pretty awful, right? So everybody's going to start snickering. So if you're going to say something like that, prove it. Say we won the Middlebury Merchants Association Customer Service Award 5 straight years. That strikes a nerve with me. That says, wow, that's pretty good. Another thing that people say is, we adhere to the most exacting standards. Well, whose standards? Ed's, the lady down the streets. Don't just say it, prove it. Show me the money. You could say all of our precision components comply with ISO quality requirements, which is the International Standardization Organization. So if you're going to say something, make a claim, back it up.
Sure.
And this one kills me because companies today are all full, and you must know this, Elizabeth, from advertising. Everybody wants to say, we become your partner, treating your business as if it were our own, which to me defies credibility, because I would say, really, you want to be my partner? Great. Co-sign my business loans, share in my losses, help pay my taxes. That's what a partner does, right? So instead, say something like, we assign to you a team of experts dedicated to achieving your sales and marketing objectives. Be honest. Tell people what it is that you're going to offer them, instead of saying you're going to be their partner.
I think we live in a world, especially when you think of the youth and how they write. They write electronically in little small bites. They send text a lot. And when it comes to grammar and subject and verb agreement, there's nothing like that. It doesn't, we don't even come close to it. And I don't even think that the youth are considering the practical and technical applications. Not really,
no. And when people, clients and bosses and colleagues are not your buddies. So don't write emails to them as if you're texting a buddy. Don't use abbreviations and just the letter U for YOU, because this is professional. And when you lower your guard like that, you're exposing yourself to a side that maybe, kind of offends, a client who's paying you, thousands of dollars, doesn't want to be talked to like some friend of yours.
Homeboy, like a homeboy.
So, yeah.
I've seen ads. Yeah, I've seen ads that the grammar wasn't true, the language wasn't right, but it was, all fitted in, just lingo.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so gross, and when it comes down to the ethics of the product.
So let's dive in.
I want his comments.
Yeah, okay. His comments, and then I have a question. Yeah.
No, that's fine. Go ahead, Elizabeth. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's a good point, Elton. Yeah. Let's dive into the LinkedIn profile, because I think everybody now is wordsmithing, and I have this comparison because I'm doing so much now on social media, that when you look at Facebook, it's people's families and pictures and dogs, and people are very relaxed on Facebook. But when you go to LinkedIn, people are really up for jobs, and so everybody is like so serious. So what is the advice that you would give to people on LinkedIn?
Well, I put LinkedIn first. In the second part of the book, I go to specific kinds of communications, and I describe better ways to do them. And I put LinkedIn first because I think it's very important that everybody gets their own house in order first. And a LinkedIn profile is becoming more and more important. And a lot of people just don't get it. There are 750 million LinkedIn members around the world. And people are checking you out on LinkedIn, whether you like it or not, know it or not. Bosses, colleagues, mortgage lenders, maybe your landlord. They're checking you out on LinkedIn, maybe an old high school flame, who knows? But I think you really have to take LinkedIn seriously. If your LinkedIn profile is sketchy, if it's undeveloped, if it's dull, it's kind of like answering the door in your pajamas. You're not presenting a good image to the world. People have snapshots. in their profile picture of like palm tree coming out of their head, or someone's hand curled around their shoulder, and the poor quality of lighting. LinkedIn has found that if you get a professional headshot for your profile picture, you will get 14 times more views and reads of your profile. So there alone is enough to get serious about your profile. And so what I do is I go through each part of the profile and say, what you can do better. Like your headline, most people will say controller XYZ company. Well, you have 240 characters now. LinkedIn's like Twitter. It used to be 120, now it's 240 for your headline. Say something good about yourself. A controller who excels at cutting costs and reducing taxes. If you're looking for a job, if you want people to respect you and sound professional, you really have to work hard on your LinkedIn profile. And you only have to do it once, basically, and put it up there, and it's working for you 24/7. So whoever comes by and checks you out, they're going to be impressed. So,
yeah,
so many people's LinkedIn profiles are so bad. I started my own side business a couple of years ago, writing them for people. And I found out a lot about what people aren't doing and what they should be doing. There's an about section, which used to be called the summary section, which gives you like about 350 words to tell your story. And oddly, a lot of people don't even use it. Here's a chance to really talk about your accomplishments, your awards that you've won, places that you've worked, your education, and to do it in a story-like way, not just bullet points, but to tell a story. Put personal things in there sometimes that really apply, to your professional life. And so LinkedIn is a very important piece of communication for your career, to get jobs, to get clients. If a person is interested in your products, you're a salesperson, and another company is interested in your products, they may go on LinkedIn to check you out. And you don't want them to think that you're this kind of amateur who really doesn't have their act together. So take it seriously. That's my advice.
Absolutely true. Yes, that's absolutely true. But somebody, and the thing is that you can even translate your pages into different languages, and so there's so much more. Well, so tell us a little bit about your teaching career. I see that you were a professor in business writing, or that must have been interesting.
No, there must be someone else, because I wasn't a teacher. No, I come from an advertising background. Madison Avenue. I'm in New York City. I grew up in New York City, and which is not just, I'm just a few blocks from Madison Avenue. So I was always affected by the energy, the creativity of New York City. And with Madison Avenue being so close, I decided early on I was going to become a copywriter. I was going to write advertising and TV commercials and radio commercials. And that's what I did. And I loved it. And I still do it. I just think it's a lot of fun. So that's where my career is. And so between writing advertising and writing regular business communication, like inter-office memos, reports, proposals, all that stuff, I've kind of gained a little wisdom, which I'd like to, impart to people. Because today, as we know, everything is shortened, and attention spans, like for instance, presentations. If you're giving a presentation, a live presentation, it used to be where people, had the time, they would sit there and you could sort of like go on and on about this and that. Well, today everybody's on their phone, right? So they're either tuning out or they're sneaking out, to hold them, you have to make your presentation short. You got to make them sweet. You got to, make your points quickly. And I always say, engage your audience, get them involved. A lot of the people probably think they could give your presentation better than you can. So I say, let them. Let
Yes,
them ask them
I know.
questions. Ask questions, get them involved, make it interactive, and you'll get their attention.
That's true.
So
That's true. So any?
Well, I'd like to understand. I mean, so you freelance much? Do you do any freelancing?
I became a freelancer several years ago. I worked for major ad agencies, and I decided at some point I wanted to go on my own, and I've been doing
Right.
that for quite a while now, and I really enjoy it. It's I could have stayed in the agencies and became like a creative director, but I wanted to be in the trenches. I want to do the grunt work, the creative work. When these guys become creative directors, it's great. You make a lot of money. You have people underneath you and all this, but you're not really doing the work. You're not doing the ideas. So I never wanted to give up that part. So myself and an art director, we started a business about 20 years ago, and it was basically a creative shop. And we had some big clients like Time Inc. magazines and American Express and all this, but we on a project basis. We weren't their agency of record, but they threw some work at us here and there, and we had a lot of clients, and it kind of added up. So I'm still doing it. And I enjoy
But that's
it
amazing.
a lot.
That's amazing, because even when I started public relations, I worked for Glaxo in Asia, and we did everything in-house. So we did layouts, we wrote, we produced, we did the whole thing. So we did magazines and we did videos. And then when you come to this new world, which is you're compartmentalized and you're only given a certain part of the job, it isn't the whole creative genre that we're used to. So I think what you've said is so true, that you're much better off on your own because you can do so much more, and the breadth of work is so much more than being in an agency where they just compartmentalize you and expect you to just do that one thing versus the whole function. So
exactly.
so that's awesome.
That's a good point, Elizabeth.
So
it's equivalent. Oh, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt.
No, go ahead. Yeah, it's equivalent.
No, it's like the equivalent to like working in a factory and just doing one, little procedure over and over and over and over and over again. When you're freelancing like me, my clients, I have healthcare clients, I have automotive clients, I have insurance clients, I have financial clients, and you get to learn a lot about a lot of different things, which is great.
That's right.
So go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
You do.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wrapping up. Any more?
No, great descriptions, and loved your simplicity and language and understanding. I think a great deal of the culture in our community could be served magnificently by being quite simple.
I think so. Yeah.
And so here you have it, this amazing book. It's available everywhere. Highly, highly recommended to all my advertising friends and those in publishing as well. You'll have a good laugh, a good read, and if nothing else, it'll motivate you to write better. So thank you so much. This is such a treasure book, and we really enjoyed this interview. So stay on, and you can get all this information at brightsideglobaltrade.org. Thank you for streaming with us.